Well, welcome everyone. My name is Erik Cave. I'm the Director of Next Gen Ministries for the Pacific Northwest Conference. And today I get to welcome one of our new lead pastors, Brad Bergfalk. He is the new lead pastor at Bethany Covenant Church, although he's been in the covenant for a little while. Brad, I'll let you tell that story. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your personal ministry and ministry background?
Yes, hi, I'm Brad, and I have pastored for a few years. In fact, some of us who've been in ministry as long as I have, we kind of joke about the fact that we're probably in the twilight of our careers at this point. But the funny thing about it is I don't think of myself like that. That's the odd thing. But every time I go to a conference or a denominational ministerial event, I realize that I'm on the older side of the spectrum and not the younger
Sneaks up
side.
on you, doesn't it?
Yeah. I have to figure that out. I have served churches all over the country. I started my ministry in New England as an associate pastor and planted a church out there and tried to work my way back to the West Coast, and eventually came back and served a church here in the Seattle area. And then I got on the track accidentally, really, of being an interim transitional pastor. So I've been doing that for probably the last 12 years. And it's been some of the most rewarding and satisfying ministry that I've done in my entire pastoral career. And I wasn't even looking for it. It was kind of thrust on me through a variety of circumstances that took place. So I have served churches on the Sammamish Plateau here in the conference, in Alaska, in Omaha, Nebraska, in Connecticut, in Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas City, Kansas, actually, Arvada, Colorado, and then I came to little old Mount Vernon, Washington, where I came as an interim pastor and fell in love with Washington State all over again, even though I'd grown up here. And the church liked me enough that they wanted to call me to be their kind of permanent pastor. And so I've been the permanent pastor here now for just under a year, just under a year. So that's a very fast and furious description of my ministerial career. But it's really funny how sometimes where we think God is going to lead us isn't exactly the way we get there.
Yeah, that's true. You have been all over, it sounds like.
Yes, I have.
But it's good to know that Washington is your favorite, right?
Yeah, it is. The funny thing is, coming back here to the North Sound, it's a little different than the Seattle area and the East Side where I kind of grew up. I grew up in Bellevue and pastored on the East Side. But the North Sound, I didn't even know anything about it. And when I got here, you're close to the water. The ferry system's about a half-hour ride from our house. You're close to the mountains. There's a certain kind of beauty that's up here that I never even knew existed when I lived here before. So it's been fun for my wife, Roxy, and I to explore this part of the state that we didn't really know that much about.
That's great. Well, what are you passionate about in ministry these days?
Yeah, that's a great question, because my passions often stay with me a long time. One of the passions that I've had for as long as I've been a pastor is just to inspire and encourage ordinary followers of Jesus to be more faithful in whatever place God's calling them. And that's still kind of a passion. It's a passion for me personally, but it's also kind of at the heart of what I desire for this church. One of the things that we're doing right now in terms of focus is trying to define who our neighbor is and spending some time talking about what is God calling us to do in terms of church and as individuals to get to know our neighbors. Because I think, in the old days, back when I started out, we talked about evangelism as being, critical. And so, it was usually a Billy Graham crusade that we invited somebody to. Right. I think evangelism has changed, and we have to take a step back and go, who are the people that God's placed in my life that live
Mhm.
next door to me and across the street from me. And so the last 2 or 3 weeks I've been preaching about the art of neighboring, which I didn't come up with this idea. It's actually a book. It's been very helpful. But I said to my congregation, and they thought this was funny, but I said, for some of us who are introverts, we really have to extend ourselves just to wave to our neighbors as we drive by.
Right.
But if you're not used to doing that, then that's a good place to start. And so that's really where I'm kind of passionate and focusing my energy right now up here at Bethany Covenant in Mount Vernon.
Thanks for sharing that. So how can we be praying for you and for your ministry?
I think one of the ways that I need prayer is just to kind of finish well. I mean, I'm closer to the end of my ministry than I am at the beginning, and I don't. I said to my wife recently, I said, "Hey, look, if I drool or repeat myself when I'm preaching, or say something stupider than usual, could you tell me so that I don't inflict a church with needing to have retired and didn't." Because I needed to hang on. That's there's a lot of reasons why people hang on to their careers and they shouldn't, and I don't want to be one of those guys. So pray that I am attentive enough and pay attention enough to the people in my life who tell me when it's time for me to ride off into the sunset and do something else.
Well, hopefully that's a long time from now,
That's
but I promise if I see you drilling, I'll let you
okay. Thank you.
know. All right. Well, as is our custom, we're gonna do some quick answer, just fun questions to wrap up our time, get to know you a little bit better. So let's start off with this one. What is one thing that you cannot resist?
Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
Mm.
If there is a pint of that in our freezer and I know it's there, it won't be there very long.
Do you have a favorite flavor?
I like fish food, actually. Fish the band,
Oh, okay.
the PHISH, I think.
And they have
But
flavor?
yeah, it's like chocolate something in it. I don't know what all's in it. It's got a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, for a minute there, I thought you were saying fish flavored ice cream, and I was like,
No.
good. Okay. Next question. What, or I guess not what, where is your favorite place to be?
I get asked this question a lot because I've lived all over the country, actually all over the world. And I smile and I respond to those who ask me where I happen to live right now.
Where you happen to live right now? That's a good one.
And I've already mentioned this, but the North Sound, Skagit Valley is rich with, beauty in terms of water and mountains and things to do and hikes to go on. And I just love being here for all those reasons.
This is one of my favorite questions to ask. I'm curious to see how your answer. Which one would you want most? Flying cars, robot housekeepers, or moon cities?
Flying cars,
Good answer.
especially in a place like Seattle,
Oh,
where
man.
when I have to drive someplace down in your neck of the woods or Seattle, it takes me an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours to get where I need to go. If I could fly there, that would be great.
Be a game changer.
Yeah, it would.
Okay, last question. What would you do for a career if you weren't doing this?
I would, it's a toss up. Earlier, if you would have asked this of me 15 years ago, I would have said I would be an attorney. In fact, I thought about going to law school and instead went to seminary. But I think right now I would consider a career having something to do with the outdoors.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Probably not retail, but maybe being a
Yeah.
forest ranger or
Oh, yeah.
an interpreter at a national park, something like that. I would do something like that.
Yeah, a good choice. Good choice. Well, Brad, it's been really fun getting to know you a little bit better. I'm glad that you are a part of our conference. And thanks for taking the time to do this interview today.
Thank you. Thanks for making this happen.